Well, welcome back. We are going to, well, I'm the token old man on the Gen Z panel. That's what we do. These days, we get a 44-year-old man to interview the Gen Z. No, I'm really excited for this because when we're talking about a new era of retail, we talk about how people think. I love to see what the emerging behaviors are. We always do this at every eTail. So I do want to sort of open this up. We're going to do this. Chris, you're joining me as well. Chris, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Chris Carl. I lead marketing for AliExpress in the US. Joined the team about 2 years ago. First, I had a marketing in the US, so really exciting opportunity to build the brand here in the States.
And we have a Gen Z panel, Lucy.
Hi, I'm Lucy Rosenblum. I'm the marketing assistant for Worldwide Business Research, and we planned this lovely event, and you've probably seen me running around trying to interview like half of you, so.
Cool, Sophia.
Yes, hi everyone, my name's Sophia. I've also been running around, so if you've seen me. I am a production assistant at WBR.
All right, Jonathan.
Hi everyone, my name is Jonathan. Again, you might have also seen me running around with a cool headset and the eTail hat.
Very cool.
So you could actually get one of those hats outside too. But yeah, I'm an associate producer for eTail.
Great. I want to really get a lot done in the next little while. So I really want to make sure that we're covering a lot of ground. I think, first of all, when we're thinking about where consumers are going, especially generally, one of the big mistakes on a panel like this is that we lump a lot of people into one big broad brush of behavior. So I really want to break it down into some psychographics and how you all individually, all three of you, think and behave in the way that your relationships to brand and channel in the way that you shop individually, right? So not that you're representative of an entire generation of people, but how you individually are behaving in the way that you sort of like analyze your own behavior. So let's think a bit about like relationship to retail and brands. So let's start with like jump ball question to whoever feels like most passionate about this. What do you value most when you're deciding? And I'll give you a couple examples here. When you decide to shop online, so is it price? Is it brand values? Is it convenience? Like what makes the most sense for you? Which is the most factor, and does it depend?
I can go.
Yeah.
Definitely convenience. I think I'm a shopper that wants something but takes a really long time. So I'm definitely in that consideration phase for a while. And so when I do decide to jump on it, it's which channel is going to get it to me the fastest.
Yeah, and kind of just going off of that, I will say one of the biggest things is the checkout process. Having to type in my card number and all of that kind of makes me second guess things. So when Apple Pay is an option, it kind of makes me purchase things easier. I don't have that second guessing time when I'm going to purchase something.
Is Apple Pay not everywhere at this point?
No, not
really?
everywhere.
Yeah.
No.
There's a lot of times. If you're buying, like I would say individually from a website, it's not an option. And whenever that happens, I'm the exact same way. Like once I start typing my address and then you get to your billing address and then you're confirming, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe this was not something I needed.
Chris, when you're thinking about how you're doing sort of like the frictionless checkout experience and like in the AliExpress experience, what are you thinking about to sort of remove those points of friction for all consumers, but maybe exactly for this thing in Gen Z that they're talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a little hard to hear you over here, but I think as it relates to friction in our checkout process, we see that across e-commerce for every brand, this is a huge that can be a huge challenge and can lead to churn. So we always do our best to optimize our checkout process, integrate all the wallets and payment options possible. Of course, also introduce things like buy now, pay later. We know that Gen Z, almost 50% of Gen Z use buy now, pay later, even for purchases as low as $10 or $15. So making sure that all of these components are in our checkout process with one-click buy now options is really critical. But these are all like really, functional considerations. I was curious. We did a really cool survey last year with Census-wide, to better understand Gen Z audience and how they shop and maybe how they shop differently than other generations. And we found that actually Gen Z has a huge self-reward culture, more so than any other age group that we surveyed. So what that means is we found that a quarter of Gen Z actually treat themselves to a little gift or a reward more than once a week. And that's, of course, great for us because of our price point and our product diversity. But I wanted to put the question out to the group. Is that true?
I will say, definitely, I would say I'm that type of person that self-rewards every week. It's hard out here. We're just trying our best to be adults. I always say I consider myself like a 7-year-old adult because at the age of 18, so we're just trying our best, and we want to make sure that we treat ourselves because of mental health reasons and other reasons as well.
Yeah, I would definitely say it is a thing for sure. If I've had a busy week of work, I'm definitely at the end of the week always like, I deserve this. So.
Yeah, sometimes, especially when it's something smaller and you do it throughout, it's kind of like the delayed gratification of like, okay, next week I'll also do it. But one thing about Gen Z, like especially retail, but like a little sweet treat, like can't help myself. I think it's nice to be able to reward yourself, but that can also sometimes feel like you're seeking out a purchase for something and then you don't get it back.
Mm-hmm.
Delayed gratification?
Yes.
So do you find that you reward yourself more if you've been good for longer?
Good question.
Yeah? I don't know. I mean, that's a valid question.
And if you're meeting your goals,
yeah.
it doesn't matter what the goal was. I met the goal.
Okay.
I will say when I got promoted, I was on such a happy streak that I was like, you know what, I could pay for a guitar, and then later.
Come on.
And then later on, I was like, oh, that would hurt my bank account, but at least I had the guitar I wanted.
You earned it.
I earned it, exactly.
I might be Gen Z too. It's like, if that's the qualifier. I haven't heard yet anything about like brand value alignment. How do the values of a brand factor into those decisions? Is it one of many parts of the calculus of who you shop with at this point, or is that in the nexus of the way you make decisions?
I mean, I would say the reputation of a brand is something that really does stick out to me. If there's something that I've heard in the past about a brand that I'm possibly buying from, for example, how they treat their employees or something like that, that definitely sticks with me. So that sometimes does persuade me to not purchase from that brand. But if they do make a difference and actually act on what people have said in the past and have made changes, then I will purchase from the brand.
I'll say it also, sometimes cultural value aligns with a brand as well. For instance, I'm a Hispanic American, and one place that everyone in my family shops at is, we say Primark, but it's Primark. But just because of how cheap the prices are, because they understand like maybe they don't have a lot of money, or maybe this is where they like to go. So I would say cultural value is also very important towards like brand values as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I have a lot to say on this because I studied marketing, and a lot of that was doing case studies and looking at different brands and their efforts to reach out to different demographics, how they were perceived. We looked at a case study, I believe it was Pepsi, and it was like 10 years ago. They did this huge, almost like corporate giving thing, and it honestly wasn't received well at the time. But if they'd done that now, it would have been, I think, a huge hit. And so for me personally, I think it's the idea that right now, if I want to purchase something, there's so many options.
Yep.
And so I personally would like to seek out the most ethical one. And I think brands today might underestimate how much that matters. And I think that's something that's really important, making sure that your values, if you're doing positive things, that you're highlighting them. There's a lot of companies that are making these efforts, but you would have no idea. It's not in their marketing, it's not in their advertising.
Lucy, something you mentioned, and maybe I won't put words in your mouth, but it's something that sort of like gleaned from our conversation in prep, was that you said like essentially that's kind of a form of a luxury in the shopping experience in your generation, is that like if you can afford to shop values, like that's kind of a luxury for you?
Yeah, I can totally elaborate on that for everyone. So essentially, I think we all inherently want to be good consumers. We want to be good people. And so, you know, I would love to shop and only get the best things that I know are going to last and that have been made ethically. But a lot of us, like especially Gen Z and anyone that, you know, is price restricted, we're doing the best we can. And sometimes you're not able to go out and buy the most expensive thing, and you get what you can get. And you don't really have that option. And so it definitely is a privilege to think about, do I align with this brand, and am I happy with what I'm supporting? Because sometimes that's just not possible.
We performed some consumer research in 2019. We were looking at this transition from the millennial consumer mindset. And there was a lot of people talking about the Henry consumer. I don't know if you remember this psychographic, high earner, not rich yet, right? Anyone remember that? So we created a consumer psychographic called Carly, can't afford real life yet. Does that resonate with anyone?
Yeah.
I feel like
Definitely. I would say, like, especially living in New York City, a lot of things are very expensive. We're all trying to make rent as well, and we're all just trying to, like Lucy said, trying to do our best. But whatever we could find, like any sales, any deals, like I sometimes even go in store sometimes, just like because online and in store could be very different in terms of what they had to offer to the consumer. So I remember there was a time I was shopping at H&M, and there was a shirt I liked, but it was $60 online. But when I went to the store, it was $12.
wow.
So like sometimes like there could be a discrepancy that causes me to go like, oh no, I'm not gonna buy it here. I'd rather go see if I can find it cheaper at a different store or maybe at the same store.
Yeah, kind of going off of that too. When I go to a store to purchase something, I always have the app up as well. I will type in the item that I have in my hand just to see if there's a online only exclusive percentage off or something like that, just to see if I can get a better deal online versus in store.
I have to, you know, you have a focus group sitting right here for the type of consumer that I'm sure you're speaking to in your everyday experience. Your experience in particular, I've done a lot of shopping on AliExpress. My younger kids who are Gen Alpha, I have a 13-year-old who goes on AliExpress every day because she sees influencers, you know, selling $40 and $50 hairbrushes, and she's like, I can get that cheaper on AliExpress. I'm so proud of her. But she's very,
Me too.
Yeah.
Money savvy at a young
She's
age.
very savvy, and she already knows, right? So she knows where to go for things. When you hear some of these like value points, what does that fall into the way that you're thinking about how you're building and some of the pillars of how you think about building consumer experience at AliExpress?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one also value component, authenticity component that we haven't touched on yet is that shopping in itself is really a big way of self-expression, right? It's an extension of yourself. And so what you buy really matters. And this self-expression aspect, we of course see it across social, we see it in the comment sections, people really care about what they buy. But it's really interesting, we also see that in our best sellers. So for example, wigs and hair products are among our top sellers. We're probably one of the biggest sellers of wigs and hair products in the country. Same goes for fashion. So these are categories that are like really self-expression forward. And people really don't just look for a deal, but they look for products that match their values and help them you know, become who they want to be. And we find that our price point and, you know, plethora of products that we have enable that self-expression. And so that for us is a huge benefit and contributes to authenticity and value in shopping for us.
You had mentioned too that there were, you're also doing like larger brand partnerships with, in sort of the more, not just influencer space, maybe in the sports arena and some other things. Like you're also going out to some of the larger trust points in the ecosystem now. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think sports sponsorships, it's an interesting and tricky space to navigate, but if done well, it can have tremendous impact on upper funnel metrics, trust, awareness. And we have a lot of years of experience with that. We've been a multi-year sponsor of the Olympics for the past couple of years, most recently in Paris last year, but also last year we became a top-level sponsor of the Euro Cup, the UEFA Euro Cup. The challenge is that it shouldn't just feel like a logo slap, because then you won't really see the benefits. It really has to be a fully integrated campaign. You have to work with the right spokespeople, you have to work with the right influencers, you have to do traditional media buys, out of home. It needs to be a full package to create really that echo chamber. And for the UEFA Cup in particular, if you look at the US market, MLS has the youngest fan base of any pro league in America. And soccer is one of the fastest growing spectator sports in the US. And so when we did our campaign last year around the UEFA Cup, we worked with David Beckham as a spokesperson, we worked with hundreds of influencers, we integrated really cool campaign elements. We did a survey with YouGov after our campaign ran during the Euro Cup. And we found that not only did brand awareness among a Gen Z audience increase dramatically, but we actually jumped to the 3rd place in terms of purchase intent among Gen Z right after Amazon and Walmart in the weeks following the campaign. So if you use these sponsorship deals in the right way and really amplify it through the right channels, it can have tremendous effects.
I have to wonder, hearing that sort of thing, you all are sort of in marketing, so you're probably more aware of how these things work in the world, but are you more aware of how brands utilize that sort of tactic or strategy to appeal to you in your own personal sense of taste? And do those larger sense of global brand partnerships or sports aligned partnerships make a difference in how you perceive those brands and make you want to shop more with them? Analyze yourself and your behavior. I know that's hard to do. Jonathan, I'm going to call on you.
Okay, call me. Okay. Well, I would say yes on that, because I'm very much a person that likes to be on TikTok a lot, and so sometimes I'm always scrolling. I always say I have somewhat of a short attention span, especially just because of the digital age and computers and all that stuff and how fast things are going. So anytime I see something that interests me, flashy and stuff online, I click on it, especially if there's a link that just goes to the page directly instead of going all around. Then I look at the reviews, look at everything, see how exactly the influencer is working with the specific company, and probably buy it based on the reviews and everything I've seen. So
Yeah, I also, just to kind of chime in there, I will say if, for example, the influencer, if they're using an influencer, they do align with the brand, instead of having, for example, say Alex Earle's promoting a beauty brand, that aligns. But if she's promoting maybe a phone company or something, it's kind of I don't know if I would really trust the product of something that doesn't align with her brand.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think I have so much to say on influencer marketing and partnerships, but I think authenticity is so crucial. I am someone who, I have mixed feelings about influencer marketing. I think, yes, it's good and it's a great method for brands to be able to get their product out there, but I think sometimes with some of these more extravagant things they're doing, it can seem like they're prioritizing influencers who aren't customers over their customers that have been loyal for years. And I think that is where it can get kind of tricky. One of my favorite things is to follow someone on TikTok and see their videos all the time using a product, and then they go and then they get sponsored by it. And that is the biggest win. So I think obviously it's tricky to find that, but that is one of the most impactful partnerships for me, because they're not only getting the message out, but they found someone who truly cares about it, and that just instills the fact that they truly care, in my opinion.
I will say, adding on to that, if a brand does not pick the right influencer, also it ends up looking really bad. And I've seen a lot of companies write apology letters to their consumers saying, hey, this doesn't align to our brand values, but then you're oh, but why didn't you review this beforehand before you went ahead and worked with this influencer? And I always say, trust is so hard to earn with our generation as well, especially since we're always on to the next trend, always on to the next thing. So yeah.
Yeah. We're sort of at that place too where I feel like we move so quickly and we make snap judgments. To your point, it's very easy to lose trust. Yeah. But I think it's more than that. I think bandwagoning in our society is something that happens very, very quickly. Mm-hmm. It's not just that we quickly lose trust. I feel like we pile on very quickly, yeah. Culturally. And so even if you personally haven't felt like you've been insulted by someone, you sort of rise to the occasion when others feel like they have. So I think that's a really interesting phenomenon that you're pointing out there. Let's kind of switch into a little bit of like the future of what commerce might look like. What are some of the like technology things that you think might actually take hold? Like, what are some of these? We mentioned some of the like, there's one click and there's address completion. We've talked about some of those things that have been around for a little while. Are there things that actually, live shopping, AR try-on, are there things that might actually move the needle for you in making purchase decision?
I definitely have experience with this. So one thing, to give them a shout out, Warby Parker has on their app where you can go through the glasses and do the try-on, and it looks identical to what it's going to be in the store. And me being the intense shopper I am, I sat with my mom and I was like, try these on, picked the ones I thought were best. And then we went in store and it was such a seamless experience because I knew exactly what it was. She did pick the ones that I said she should get. So I think that is really cool. I've seen makeup brands do it where you can try on the different colors. I think there is this kind of moment where I don't think every company needs to be doing this. I don't feel like I have to try on a dress virtually. I don't know how that would necessarily work well. But if the technology is there and it's executed well, I think it's super helpful.
There's an app that I suggest everybody go look at. It's called Doji, D-O-J-I. And if you have ever wondered what you might look like as an Essence hype beast in streetwear, you can find out. It's an app on test flight right now. You can sign up for the private beta. We tested it out for future commerce. It is not quite ready for prime time. 9 out of 10 times I found an outfit that I cannot afford, but looks really cool on me. And it strikingly, like virtual try-on, like it captures my likeness in an unbelievable way. The 1 out of 10 time it turned me into an African-American man, so it's not perfect. But I do think what's really interesting about these technologies is it gives us a glimpse of what the future might look like. And it's not the future, it's actually kind of like right now. What are some other things that we might look for as like the future? Anyone into AR or VR?
I would definitely say the AR. I was talking with one of my friends yesterday. I forgot what company this was, but supposedly you're able to like put, like they bring like AR, VR glasses to your home, and then you're able to just walk around and see how everything would look inside your home. I know other companies have tried this on mobile phones, but I feel like sometimes it's not to scale as well. So just knowing that like that technology is getting built, and it should be a lot easier to like be able to just purchase from your home rather than taking the time to go outside and do all that stuff.
I totally forgot that exists. I used that literally like 2 weeks ago when I went and I needed a bookshelf on Amazon, and a lot of them let me put it in my space. Yeah. And because I live in New York, I live in a shoebox. And so it really helped because one thing for me, I don't want to return something. I am I hate it. So I'd rather spend many long days making sure something's perfect than go to the post office and return it. So I love it.
But yeah, definitely I can relate to that with designing my apartment, at least, trying to make sure things fit, because with New York City apartments, you don't know the actual size of anything. They don't disclose that. So just being able to kind of hold your phone up and see if this dresser is going to fit in your bedroom, for example. Yeah, I'd say that's definitely something that has helped me and definitely something that I will continue to do in the future.
All right, we're kind of getting toward time. Lightning round, 30 seconds on the clock, all right? If you had to give one piece of advice to the people in this room who actually build experiences for you, what would it be? Jonathan?
I would definitely, like, going off actually what they said, the return process, making it easy for us, because definitely we are I think a generation where we're trying to just move fast, move quick, and just get everything done as much as we can. And if that process makes it better, we'll actually look at the company going like, oh, this is like quality product. Like, they care about, like, if we don't like this design, we could return it and just purchase a new one, and they'll send it to us.
That's a really good point. I would say authenticity. As a marketer, I see right through it when a brand is, like you said, jumping on the bandwagon. I think for me, not every brand has to do everything, and I think we're kind of in this space where we're all trying to do that. Everyone wants to do what all the top companies are doing, but instead look at your brand and your assets and be authentic to that, and I think that's recognized by Gen Z.
I would say be transparent. Also, something that's huge for me is reviews. Seeing real people review different products and seeing, for example, the actual material in a video that they provide in the review is definitely something that helps me purchase things so I know what I'm actually getting.
Christopher, I have to ask, what's the future of commerce look like for AliExpress and how you're meeting the needs of Gen Z?
The future of commerce, wow. Yeah, I mean, to the point of innovation, I think, and how it pulls together factors that are important for you when shopping, authenticity. You know, I think influencer marketing is such a big topic, but how do we make that really, really authentic, and how do we make that speak to our audience in a way that feels relevant? So we've developed a whole internal platform of how we work with our influencers. They can opt in voluntarily. They can choose their own products. So really using technology and innovation to make these partnerships more authentic. Or on the topic of AR and search, we're actually one of the first brands to integrate a search tool into our app several years ago that really enables you to shop your environment virtually. And that's become so intuitive and really makes the shopping process so frictionless that those are the kind of things I think that will also persist into the future and will develop even more. So yeah, really using innovation and technology, not just for the sake of innovation, but to really add value and make the shopping experience more frictionless and seamless. That's what we'll keep exploring.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much. Give him a hand.
Thank you.